out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You are tuned to Apartment 5B, hosted by your man, Kill. I got my squad with me, in effect, as always. My mother raised me right, so we starting with ladies first. We got Aaliyah in the building, R&B representing one half. The other half is here, too. Aaliyah, what's going on, miss?
What's up? Thank you for having me.
I told JR I need this collabo. I need this more. You know, like I told y'all earlier, I'm like Big Red on the 5 Heartbeats. I want to be down. What I got to do to be down to R&B reps. So y'all having auditions. Y'all know I was supposed to be new audition before nigga Johnny got it. So just understand I'm hip hop, but I love R&B too. Bro, what's going on, bro? How you?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Real Tresman in the building.
Yo, again, JR is supposed to be A&R in this project. This nigga think we playing. And that's what we need. You know what?
I was like, all right.
Y'all need to come here. That's what the 20th needs to be. Y'all come to the studio. We play, get food. We play more beats. We record some stuff. That's what we need to do on the 20th. That's what we got. JR, the R&B guru, youngest in charge, one half of the R&B raps. What's good, bro?
Ain't nothing. Good to be here.
All right. Y'all already know this is me. Let's jump straight into it. Bro, you'll appreciate this. I was listening to Ether the other day, and Nas says, name one rapper that I ain't influenced. You know what I mean? And that's a serious bar, man. And it had me thinking albums that have influenced other albums and other styles. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're chopping it up about this week. Albums that have influenced other styles, things like that. I'm old. I'm gonna be 50 this year. I come from an era where when you did your math work, your teacher said, show your work. You just couldn't put the answer up there. She wanted to see all the twos, subtract, carry, all. You had to show your work. So we're gonna be showing our work on, you know, this album influenced this person and this, and how it goes down the line and how everything starts like that. Again, my mother raised me right. Elise, please set us off, ladies first. Who do you have on the R&B or hip-hop side, or both? I've got both today. So wherever side you want to come from or start with, what's the album you're starting with that has influenced somebody, and who did they influence?
All right, I'm going to start off. It's a little of both at the same time.
All right.
And I am going to say Queen Latifah's Black Rain.
Okay. Very slept on album, too, that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, but R&B Reps talked about it on our show with the good brother Mark Chappelle. We discussed the album, and it is one of my favorite episodes of the show. And I think that she made it cool to put hip hop and R&B and jazz on an album in a really cool way, without it being forced, without it being corny. So like, and so it puts me in the mind of a Lauryn Hill Miseducation. It's like I can rap hard, like not the little bubblegum rap, like really rap, and rap with the dudes, you know, which another influence I think that I'm on the Fugees, the score, like of Marionette, where it's a girl spitting with the dudes, and spitting better than the dudes, and it's a track on Black Rain to where Latifah is rapping harder than Tretch, KRS-One, and Heavy D on the track. She murdered all of them.
Yes, God.
And did. Yeah. On a song, if it ain't rough.
You're right.
Like, but on that same album, you have Weekend Love. You have a deeply sentimental cut with Winky's theme. You have those songs. You have Mood Is Right. Like on Mood Is Right, you're getting both. Like she's rapping hard and singing very like just angelically. And she can sing. So it's not a case of like, we do have some of the rappers out, they want to sing on their tracks and it's garbage, like it's objectively bad. Not they did like, no, it's bad. So I think she opened up a credible lane for that type of album. But it was, and that kind of album could be commercially successful because that was a big album with big singles. So
was Just Another Day on that?
Yes. Absolutely.
That was very dope. Yeah, that was very, very dope. And that's a dope point because Winky's theme was crazy. But it's like you said, when I'm listening to it, I never thought, oh, yo, this is whack, or why she's singing, or why. It just went. You know what I'm saying? And that's the time when hip-hop heads, we were magnifying glass out. We were looking for something to be whack, or something to be corny, or something to be a crossover or a sellout. And that album just never felt that way. It's just an incredible album that sets off incredibly and then ends with Winky's theme that's just incredible too. So that's a dope point. That's a dope one. The first one up for me, I got Das Effects, Dead Serious. For people who may not be familiar with Das, number one, I think it was on VH1 or one of them shows, and they called Das a one-hit wonder. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, again, I feel like I'm on Twitter where people just want to change hip-hop history or whatever like that. Das is not a one-hit wonder. Again, we all have different definitions for the same word. When I think one-hit wonder, I'm thinking more of a, I don't know, Milli Vanilli maybe with that one song they had. I know they had a couple of songs, but that big one was the big song they had?
Girl, You Know It's True.
Girl, You Know It's True. You know what I'm saying? Das, that first album, Dead Serious, is a 5 mic classic to me. Them cats could rhyme. Even on Straight Up Suicide, where they dropped the Iggity style, that was crazy. Hold It Down with No Diggity, real hip hop was crazy. So no one hit wonder for me over there. But the Iggity sound, the Diggity, everything was Iggity. They had everybody doing the Iggity style. Common, on Breaker 1-9, he was very. Hell, I remember MC Hammer on Pumps in a Bump. It was something like She's Thiggity or something. Everybody was just doing Thiggity at some point. Then the time I'll never forget when they were in the movie. Oh God, what's the name of that movie? Strapped. It was an HBO movie back in the day. And Das had the scene. And they even in the scene they even say something like, "Yo, I'm diggity down" or something like. It was just no matter where you went, he was saying Iggity. Lords of the Underground. You had the whole line when they was like, when they say they thought that we was Das, it didn't affect us. You know what I mean? With that, I don't know how many people remember them. The Young Black Teenagers. They was an all-white group called the Young Black Teenagers, and they had this joint called Tap the Bottle.
Tap the bottle and twist the
cap. Everybody who has a just go to YouTube, Young Black Teenagers, Tap the Bottle and Twist the Cap. You will see that the whole entire song is basically Das Effects. They just took Das's whole style, not an Iggity here and there. The whole song is basically verbatim Das. You know what I mean?
In the movie House Party 2, if anybody saw it, one of the members of Young Black Teenagers was Kid's roommate.
What?
Yeah, the dude with the locks. The white dude with the locks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the Young Black Teenagers. You know what I mean? And again, like so many people took Das's style that on their second album, Straight Up Suicide, they didn't do any Iggity. They just was rhyming. There's not one bit of Iggity in it. And again, they really barring that out. Most people don't like the album. The production wasn't great, but they were really rapping at a high elite level. And then I think somewhere with the third album, Hard to Earn, they decided like people missed the Iggity. People didn't like them not doing Iggity. So they kind of came to a good middle ground of a little bit of both. You know what I mean? And again, the first single was called No Diggity, before Blackstreet's No Diggity. So it was almost like that. So that's my hip hop one. On an R&B one, this is where I love having you two on here because I've got a lot of questions about this. Guy's debut album, of course, ushering in New Jack Swing and everything that comes with that. I mean, we're talking about Hev's second album, Big Time. We got Our Own Thing, Somebody Love Me For Me, Teddy, of course, Jeff's Red, You Called and Told Me, Strictly Biz soundtrack, Rex and Effect, New Jack Swing, Christopher Williams, I'm Dreaming. But can y'all tell me this? How many people, two things, how many people were biting Teddy's style, production-wise? Like, I know Chucky Booker was doing some stuff, you know, very New Jack Swingish with Troop and them. But how many people were biting Teddy's style? And then two, how do y'all feel in R&B about that? Like, do you feel like how it is in hip hop where, oh, you're biting that style, or was it just, you know, how do you guys feel about that? So number one, who was like biting Teddy's style? Other producers who were doing New Jack.
I don't think nobody was really biting his style, because during that time you had Teddy, L.A. and Face, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis. So those were kind of like the three that was, and everything in New Jack was kind of the same, but each of them had their own style. So I don't think nobody was really biting Teddy, to be honest with you. I think he had his own, Jam and Lewis had their own, L.A. and Face had their own. You know what I mean? So
was it more so a lot of just different artists trying it? Because I remember Run DMC had Pause. Jack. You had Redhead King,
which was
you had
talk about that all the time though. It be them older ones, like our older artists was trying that New Jack, and it just was wrong.
Yeah,
like even with Johnny's Rub You the Right Way, I would say that was New Jack. But did Teddy do that?
No.
Mm-mm. No, his sound wasn't like that, because it was like, think about Keith or what he did with Keith. You gon' dance to it, but it wasn't the same as Rub You the Right Way. That production and what Teddy was doing was completely different. Because to me, I think Teddy was adding a little bit more of his, you know, Harlem street to it. You know what I'm saying? And it was a little bit more hip hop to me. Jam and Lewis and L.A. and Face was kind of, it wasn't as street as Teddy's, but it still was still.
And Rub You the Right Way was, by the way, that's Jam and Lewis, by the way.
Yeah,
that's Jam and Lewis. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is a better question. What would you all say are the elements of New Jack Swing?
Drums.
The reason why I asked is because I had done a New Jack Swing mixtape with things like Tony's Feel Good. I felt like that was New Jack Swing-ish. You know what I mean? You know, so Christopher Williams, I'm Dreaming. I don't think Teddy did that. So, like, what would be the elements of New Jack Swing for you all?
Yeah. And then sidebar, yes, Feels Good is a New Jack Swing song, but it's a New Jack Swing song with a band.
Right.
So that already sets them different.
Apart.
It's a band. It's not a whole bunch of synths and stuff. It's instruments for the most part. I mean, of course, there's other elements in it. Right. It's mostly instruments, but yeah. Go ahead, Jared.
No, I just think, like I said, drums is always in front with New Jack. Definitely, it has like a swing, which why you call it New Jack Swing, because the rhythm is a swing, and it kind of reminds you of the 40s swing. You know what I'm saying? How they were dancing and all that, so it had a certain rhythm to it. You know what I mean? And that's why in '92 everything changed, because it wasn't as upbeat, it wasn't as fast. The tempo started to change. It was no more of a swing to it. It was this. That was
and with
that.
New Jack Swing had a short lifespan.
Right. I was gonna say it was very quick. It was like 88 to 90.
Yeah, that wasn't a long period. You would hear little dribs and drabs of it with stuff coming shortly thereafter, but it was just as an element, or it was sampled in things.
So I got a question for you, Kill, actually. So you feel like Guy's album is the beginning of New Jack?
Well, keep in mind, this is why my pastor has taught me, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. This is why I have you all around here, so I can learn. I think so. Okay. But this is why I want y'all, because y'all
trying to gauge your POV on it, just trying to gauge where you were.
Yeah, I mean that because again, because R&B similar to in real life, it's not my first language. So like how somebody speaks Spanish, but that ain't their first language. So I love R&B, but that's not my first language. So that's why when people ask me stuff on Twitter, I send them to y'all too. So it's like one of those things in my mind. It's just like, hey, Teddy invented New Jack Swing. I'm assuming it started with Guy's first album. But again, this is where I lean on y'all to say, nah, Kill, it really actually started here. Or, you know.
It started with Teddy, but not on the Guy album.
On Keith Sweat album.
Yes.
Bingo.
Yes.
Okay, cool. See, this is why I keep smarter people. Everybody out there watching, keep smarter people around you.
Yeah.
Okay, so more so started with.
You had the right person. You just had the
right,
wrong
just the
album.
wrong album. There you go. Okay. There you go.
That was Teddy's. Yeah. No, that
right.
That was very deeply Teddy.
Yeah, and an incredible Keith Sweat album, 5 mic album right there would make it last forever. JR, what do you have up for your first influence, and who did it influence?
Y'all can still see me, right? Everything good?
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
He was making
all right, because I don't know what the heck going on. I was like, what the heck? I thought my jump was freezing on y'all or something. But who I'm gonna go with first? I'm gonna go with Roberta Flack's First Take.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that. I feel like we wouldn't have gotten What's Going On. We wouldn't have gotten Donnie's Afterways, Everything Is Everything. We wouldn't have gotten anything after that because I don't think nobody did a whole album before her. A whole album just talking about religion, social issues, the war, like all of that. Nobody was doing, like Curtis was doing it with the impressions, yes, but it wasn't like how she did it. And I don't think she gets enough credit for it because she was a new artist. Nobody knew her. So
all right, Marty and Doc, you love going back to 1968. So you gotta give us mere mortals a little more info on the album. You know what I mean? What year are we in? You know.
We are in
Alicia,
right. We are.
Alicia, of course, has the vinyl on hand.
Yes. 60 seconds with that.
It was 1969.
1969.
And she's talking about the war.
She's talking about, religion. She's talking about the war. She's talking about stuff with Vietnam. Nobody was really talking about that as a full body of work. And if nobody wouldn't have did that, but it still didn't sell. But we know how the music industry is. They see something different. If it works, if it doesn't, they can work for a bigger artist and didn't work for her. Nobody knew Roberta until Clint Eastwood in his movie did The First Time I Saw Your Face. And that was 3 years later. So by then, Marvin was already out. What's Going On was out. So it was like, she don't get the credit for that. But I think she really changed everything, to be honest. But I don't think she gets credit for First Take, for real.
Yeah, and I think an important thing to know about Roberta Flack, she's not just somebody that just showed up. Like, she was in those studios. She had relationships with those people. Her and Donnie was, aces. Like, so she knew the people. She was in the mix. So it's to where producers know other producers. Mm-hmm. Even though they might not be mainstream, but that's your favorite. That's the producer's favorite. It's like that.
Right.
Your favorite's favorite. Mm-hmm. That's where she was. And I think she was that for like her whole career to be, except for those couple breakouts. She was more of your favorite's favorite.
Right. So more of a Dilla, how Pharrell is on 106 and Park talking about, JD is my favorite producer. And they're like, oh, Jermaine Dupri, like, nah, nigga, James Yancey, J Dilla.
Exactly that. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Because Jimmy Jam said the same thing. He was on something. He was like, my favorite producer is Dilla. And it's like, whoa, but he's Dilla's everybody's favorite. So So I feel like that's what Roberta is. So we wouldn't have got a lot of those albums that we love to death if it wasn't for First Take. And I think she needs a little bit more respect than what she gets. So that's why I said
no doubt. Well, I know you had your hand up. You had a question?
So how was the album received? And was it like given its flowers later on? Or was it, how was it received? Because to think
it does now.
Okay.
It does now.
Okay.
Now you frozen.
Yeah, now you froze.
Oh, I'm good.
Nah, you froze.
Froze.
Maybe try jumping out and jumping back in.
All right. Am I good now?
Yeah, you good now.
Okay. All right, I do that.
No. You good.
Okay,
you
I'm good.
You good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think she gets credit now because and I mean, I don't think she ever would have got credit for the album if Clint Eastwood wouldn't have put The First Time I Saw Your Face in a movie, and nobody wouldn't have ever knew because when it came out, nobody really cared. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like it came out. She was a teacher at Howard, and that was it. She went back after she finished the album. She went back and teach. So it was like, okay, the album came out. She was doing clubs in DC, nothing. And then that phone call from Clint Eastwood changed her life forever. And now everybody knows about First Take. And she was on to make her second record by then. You know what I mean? So I think people are understanding it now. Even though some of the songs that I'm saying on the album is nobody really discussed, but they were very, Black Power before it was, other people were doing it. So, now everybody be like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. But, everybody.
And what's funny is, the album did like triple dust, but then those 3 years later in 72, it went to number one.
Mm.
Oh.
That's why you release your album 69, it'll go number one in 72.
Wow.
Yeah.
After it was doing dust for 3 years.
That's crazy.
It's just people wasn't ready. And then again, I'm thinking
it ended up going platinum.
Yeah. And then she's with Atlantic. 72. So who's at Atlantic and who's her is Aretha. She's that girl. So you know what I'm saying? So she's popping right now. And this new girl comes in doing something completely different. Wasn't nobody. And then the label wasn't putting no money behind it. But after Clint Eastwood called, they put the money behind it then. And like Elise said, 3 years later, it goes to number one. So
it goes
that's
platinum.
crazy. Platinum, yeah. And she gets a Grammy for the record of the year.
And not to mention, one of my favorite little Kim samples, Queen Bitch, is off that album right there. So
yes.
That is my favorite Lil' Kim song.
Man, Little Kim went to work on that joint. I don't care what nobody said. She put in work. Bro, what you got up for your first one, good brother?
All right, my first one is N.W.A. Straight Outta Compton album. Before that, there was nothing. Like I remember just hearing that and just being kind of in shock of just what they would talk, what they were saying, the cursing, the imagery, just all of that. Like before that, there was nothing like that, and then after that, like a lot of stuff changed. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people's product they were putting out changed, and a lot of what we were used to hearing and accepted changed after that album, because that was, I was really young when they came out, but I know everybody when they heard it was just like, wow, like this is something different. This is not what we used to. And it was shocking, but it was dope. And then it influenced like so many other people after them to put out music in that manner with that language and talking about that subject matter. So I think N.W.A. Straight Outta Compton was my hip hop influential album, and I was hoping JR was on here, but we got both of them because I gotta be a Jodeci nigga, not Boys and Men. My R&B are all questions, so I'm breaking the rule. My R&B is all questions. So my first question is, who's responsible for ushering in the R&B artists rapping over hip hop beats?
So R&B over hip hop beats?
Yeah,
or the other way around.
R&B over hip hop beats. That of you are singing over those hip hop beats and samples or whatever like that.
Mary, SWV. Yeah, I would say Mary for the solo SWV for the groups doing it.
Okay. And who was producing those?
Like to make it popular and actually sound good and not have a corniness to it.
Okay, okay, you went that way. Okay, got it. Yep.
There's some stuff before, but they ain't quite figured out yet.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I think Mary and SWV is where it fell into place and was done on a very high level that the culture accepted.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the black culture accepted.
Right.
That we.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Dope, bro. I'm like you at Straight Outta Compton too. Namely, just for the cursing in hip hop. You know, I always look at it as there's pre and post Straight Outta Compton. You know, pre Straight Outta Compton, I tell people, Kool G Rap's first album, no curse words, not a one. His second album, that's post Straight Outta Compton, 8 million curse words. Don't go from being Sinbad to Eddie Murphy in one album. Like something had to, and that was Straight Outta Compton. Prior to that, you may get one curse word per song. Kane will be like, you know, when my pen hits the paper, all shit. And that's it. You know, Rakim, I think, had one curse word in this whole discography of I'm gonna tear shit up on my melody. You know, so you would drop one curse word, but you know, but when N.W.A came out with like Straight Outta Compton, crazy motherfucker name, you like, it just was like on just curse as much as you want. And I've always wanted to figure out, was it G-Rap who decided, yo, I want to curse more? You know, and the labels were like, originally like, nah, you can't curse that much? Or was it the labels that kind of told G-Rap, all right, now we need much more curses? You know, which one came first, chicken or the egg? Because, again, you don't go from being Sinbad, who doesn't curse at all, to Eddie Murphy in 89 with Raw and curse all the time without something happening in that. So I totally agree with you. Straight Outta Compton. Yeah, that definitely was influencing. Elise, what you got up for your next joint?
Well, I mean, I actually was gonna go with for my next one was SWV.
Okay.
Debut album, like I can't really think of any female artists they didn't influence, R&B artists. Especially not groups, because every group after that had a little hip hop edge to them, but still had a glamour piece to it.
Right.
At the same time. So as far as the look, I think they really pioneered the look. Cause I'll tell you one thing, you know, you see some groups and you see them in their old days, they look crazy. But
what's up, Escape?
But if you go back to the beginning of SWV, they always were tight with the look.
Yes.
With the grooming. Like, they didn't, It's not,
I mean, Coco's still out here influencing nails.
Yeah, to this day.
That's true.
Yeah. But it was like, so it was but singing pure R&B.
Yeah.
It might have been on a hip hop beat, but you took that beat away and put some, you know, put some live instruments under it. It's R&B, the way it's structured. Which a lot of that to Brian Alexander Morgan, who had a huge, you know, who I think he's been talked about a lot more now. But for a long time, he was kind of in the shadows, and he was doing so much of this and doing it for other artists.
Right.
And a lot of producers be like, no, we heard what he was doing and was like, we need to catch up.
Yeah.
Like, damn, they're like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I love about SWV is I never really felt like they were singing over hip hop tracks. It just seemed like their music was so well produced that it felt hip hop. It felt street without them having to sing over Impeach the President, over the top billing drums, over, you know, synthetic substitution. It just was their sound that just sounded good. Like outside of anything with them, you know, over the my brain is stuck. The one with Woo. You know, they weren't, you know, Use Your Heart. When you're looking at all their big songs, to me, I never really felt like they were just singing over the 10 Crack Commandments, like on Someone. You know what I mean? I felt like Right. I felt like they had that feel, but they were able to do it like naturally, like it was organic. It's like this is just who we are. We're not trying to do a Ron G mixtape sound or whatever like that. So definitely loving the SWV piece. Yeah, and JR, I know that's your favorite group ever. So I mean,
my favorite female group. Yeah, I absolutely. And then Elise broke that down the way it was. Like, if Brian wouldn't have did that, Jimmy Jam said that the Janet album would have been damn near Rhythm Nation again. He said he heard what Brian did with the girls and was like, he got his writers and his team was like, we need to do that, and that's why we got That's the Way Love Goes, because of him hearing what Brian did with SWV, and Jimmy gave him credit for that. But like Elise said, now I think a lot of people are giving Brian respect that he deserves, because a lot of people didn't. You know what I'm saying? They put him, and he hated that too. They tried to put him in that New Jack Swing thing, and he wasn't doing that. But he said, of course, the marketing and promoting the girls, that's the way they went about it. But he was like, I wasn't doing what Teddy was doing. I wasn't doing what Jam and Lewis was doing. I wasn't doing what Babyface was doing. He was like, he was chopping stuff up completely different. And like, when Eric Sermon and them heard, like, I'm So Into You, they was like, yo, you chop that up like we would. And he was like, yeah, I'm a hip hop head too. Like, I'm chopping it up like y'all. He chopped up Clean Up Woman. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I wonder if he didn't get his props because keep in mind, I never heard the name until I started hanging around y'all. You know what I mean? But I'm just wondering because, like, I felt like back then you had to have a big name. Like, you had to have something to you. You know what I mean? Bless you. Like, Bryce from Groove Theory. It's like, that's Bryce. He's in a video over here. Or, like we talk about, me and Rel always talk about, why didn't the Beat Nuts blow up? You know what I mean? Why don't more people talk about the Nuts? And I'm like, they didn't produce a crew. In hip hop at that time, you had to be producing a crew of people, and the Beat Nuts just didn't do that. So I wonder, like, if Brian Alexander was, do you feel like something like that similar with R&B? Like, maybe he didn't have a name. Like, even with Dallas Austin, Dallas had a name. Like, there was some type of face you were able to put to a producer during those days. But if you were just a producer who kind of just stayed behind the scenes and wasn't all in the videos, then you kind of may have just got passed over during those days.
You know what I think happened too? I think RCA did that because you see when Dallas Austin did TLC's first record, he did the second one too. When they did SWV and it was all Brian, by the time they got to New Beginning, it was all Star. Brian got no singles, he got nothing. So everybody now was like, oh, You're the One and Use Your Heart and all of those joints. Brian got no singles, no nothing, so everybody forgot. Everybody was just like, oh, okay, whatever. And we know how New Beginning did, so it really, RCA kind of messed Brian up. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think he kind of went under the radar. And then another thing, Brian ain't begging to be, you know what I'm saying, to be in. He's not that guy. He's like, okay, it is what it is. I'll play it back.
Brian, he's in the industry, but he's not industry.
Yes.
Okay.
He played by his, like, if he have a conviction about something, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he ain't with the shit.
Coming that down at all.
He one of them people. He a nigga.
Yeah.
And he is.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I done heard him say it.
All right. This is the reason why I love having you on here, so I can learn even more. This one right here is not necessarily, I'm going to talk about both. Not necessarily who started it, but who popularized it. Because a lot of times in music, that's how it goes. So I'm going to give props to both. The Low End Theory, Tribe's second album, the whole jazz phenomenon. Coming from that, you're going into your diggables. You're going into your roots. You're going into, there was a time period in 92, 93 where if you just wanted to make a beat, just find a break beat, find a jazz bass line, and just find some horns, there's your song. And I think that's one of the reasons when that style got played out, I think that's why a lot of producers weren't able to keep going, because it was a very simplistic thing. It was like, literally, it was like 1 + 1 = 2. Like, get a break beat, get a bass line, get some horns, there's your song. You know what I mean? And a lot of producers weren't able to adapt to now having to chop your drums and not just looping something up and looking for something more than a bass line and really taking it to that next level. But so Tribe gets a lot of props for that because I think it definitely was popularized. It was popularized with me. You know, my mom is a jazz musician. Paid no attention to whatever my mom was playing or listening to until I heard Tribe, and it was like, Ron Carter, who's that? My mom was like, this nigga on me in a picture. This dude been standing in the house the whole time, and you ain't never asked who Ron Carter was. So it just shows you how somebody whose mother was a jazz musician, who Tribe really popularized it for more people to really grasp onto and everything like that. But I do feel like the people who did it originally was Gang Starr with No More Mr. Nice Guy in 1989, because Words I Manifest, Dizzy Gillespie's Night in Tunisia, that's 88 the first time I heard that, and it was just like, yo, at that time people were still sampling James Brown and stuff like that, so we weren't sampling jazz. I mean, Gang Starr had the song Jazz Music that was on No More Mr. Nice Guy, and they had Jazz Thing, which was on the Mo Better Blues soundtrack. You know what I mean? So again, for me, Gang Starr originated that, but Tribe is what popularized it for everybody to now be like, oh, okay, the new thing is sampling jazz. And this is when you go back to 92, 93, 94, hip-hop heads was going to jazz clubs now. Like, it was like, yo, you got that Mingus, you got that Coltrane. Like, that was what dudes was talking about, you know, back then. And Tribe popularized it. So, and not only that, but Bob Powers, who was Tribe's engineer, because that album was so influencing that then everybody wanted to work with Bob Powers. So you had Erica working with Bob Powers, The Roots working with Bob Powers, D'Angelo working with Bob Powers. Just everybody was just like, how did you get that sound? You know, Bob Powers, you here, turn up my bass level, make my shit sound clear. Like, it literally was like, okay, now everybody's using Bob Powers. So there are times when you're not only influential in your sound, you're influential with the studio you use. Gang Starr was very influential with D&D Studios. You know what I mean? There was a time where if you wanted to get a premiere beat, no matter how popular you was, you had to come to D&D. Biggie was in D&D. Jay was in D&D. D&D is a grimy ass studio, like, you know what I mean? But if you wanted a premiere beat, you had to go there. So that's what I got for that. On the R&B side, I got Timbaland's drums from Aaliyah's One in a Million. I can't tell you how many people use that style in hip-hop, R&B, gospel. I think every genre of music was using the whole drum and bass thing, because I had never heard that before. I was in the studio when we heard One in a Million. It was on a video. Then, like, we stopped everything we was doing. Like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like, yo, this is crazy. Like, yo, why the drums doing that? Like, and then just after that, you just saw everybody, you know, just trying to bite Timbaland style coming from, Aaliyah's One in a Million. It's too much work to show to even try to tell you. Just know everybody. I can't even sit here and write a list of who. Just everybody. Just, you want to know who? Everybody. Yeah. Anybody who made a beat after One in a Million was trying to do Timbaland's drums. So you got that.
And to have a beat like that and a song like that, and have it attached to someone who had so much charisma, who was just came out the womb a star, like just had that star power, to have such a unique drum and all that going on with that person,
right?
Like, that's why I hate when people downplay Aaliyah, because
people downplay Aaliyah
and do. You get two extremes. They either giving a little too
love
much,
her or they hate her,
or they trying to girl couldn't sing.
Right.
That's just a lie, and I don't like liars. But they think just because somebody's not a power singer, then they're not
right.
Well, they ain't singing high, that they're not a good singer, and that is false. That is a false.
As a motherfucker, and it pisses me off. Go ahead.
Because some people sing good in a more calmer, sweeter tone.
Right.
And some people sound better. You know, it's
and
different.
Some people sound
it's
bad.
gradients of things.
Right.
But
no, I said no. Then some people sound bad when it's too powerful.
Yeah.
Oof.
So, but I think, so to have such a dynamic, such a creative producer come with someone with so much gravitas and that together, like, you couldn't recreate that. Like, that just was an organic, just explosion.
And then one of the craziest things about it is you're leaving probably at that time the biggest R&B producer and going with two relatively nobodies, you know, with Timbaland and Missy. You know what I mean? So, like you said, it was incredible to hear, and it's just like, yo, who the fuck did that? Like, you know, so I think that's, you know, that's a huge piece too. JR, what you got next, sir?
Well, Mary. I'm gonna go with Mary. What's the 411? I mean,
Happy birthday.
Right, and it's her birthday. Damn, right. But I mean, what's the for? What can I say? I think after she came out with this album, it just changed music forever, because now everybody wanted another Mary. They wanted that. Labels was grabbing this. They was like, oh, we want this, and it's just Mary had her own thing, her own style, but it was like these labels was trying to duplicate it, and it just some of it was hard. I ain't even gonna lie. Some of these people that they tried to get was still alright, but it just Mary was Mary. You know
Hey, JR, I'm messy. I'm real messy and petty.
I know what you're gonna ask me. Who, right?
Who are some of the people that you noticed that other labels?
I'm sitting here like I am Mary too.
I was about to ask them. I had something in my mind. I was going to ask.
Y'all is a messy.
Yeah, you know what? Let's throw some names at you. Yvette Michelle.
Yes.
Monifa.
Yes.
Miss Jones.
Yes.
1,000% yes. Yes.
Well,
no, but she was there before.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Well,
she was already there, and she was doing, and that's what she was doing.
Right.
Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa
was her
style.
Absolutely.
That was her style.
Yeah.
Mona Lisa was my next.
Mona Lisa, absolutely. Yes.
Oh God. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the hard part is, you know, when we look at labels, to me, y'all know, life is all about goals. The record label's goal isn't to spearhead new music, keep the culture moving forward. It's to sell records. So if we see selling a shorty from Yonkers singing over hip hop beats and shit, yo, A&R JR, go find me a singer in the Bronx, you know, or Mount Vernon, somewhere near Yonkers who can sing. Let's get in the studio with some producers. Let's loop up some beats. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think that's the thing too. So, you know, I've always wondered, like, did a lot of these girls even want to do that? But it was just like, you got signed, so this is what you gotta do. It's like getting hired at a job and you thinking you working in this department, but they're like, nah, we gonna move you into this department over here.
You know what? It definitely, the girls that they did it were all talented. And it did a disservice to them bringing them out as a carbon copy, because then they didn't have the longevity, because they were in this niche. Like, they could have went over hip hop beats, but they didn't give them a separate identity to differentiate. So they're all making the same thing. I'm paying attention to the biggest one.
Right.
It's Mary, so I'm gonna pay attention to what she's doing, and you know, so even if somebody did do it a little bit before, but it kind of hurts of you trying to be able to carve out what makes you special. And so with them carbon copying it instead of figuring out what Mona Lisa can do that's in that vein, but is her. There's something unique. There was, you know. So.
And that's why I'm just happy that as much as Puff tried to make Faith in Mary's image, Faith was still different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she was still different. It was like, all right, yeah, they having the same kind of rollouts and all this, and pictures being taken in blonde wigs and this and that. But Faith was completely different from Mary. And I'm glad when Chucky got with you, bro, RIP to him, and you did the interview, you asked him what the difference between them two was. So that's why I'm happy by when Faith came out with Keep the Faith, it completely separated her from what Mary was doing and what she did. So it was like those other girls, it was like the singles they come out with, it's like, oh, because that can't be wasting my time. That could have been Mary. Like that, come on. Like, it was like, come on. So it was like,
and those other girls, they never made it past black radio.
Nope. Right.
Like, they was hot, but you ask anyone who wasn't like, it's not a big music head, it's just kind of very casual, they probably won't even remember it.
Yeah.
Her name. You play the song, they be like, oh yeah.
Right.
They don't know who she is. I barely know who she is, and I study this shit. So
right, true.
And I think too, it's also when labels do that, your A&R department ain't Puff. Like Puff had a vision for everything, so I can't just go say, "Hey, JR, you're A&R at Virgin. Go over here and find me the next Mary J. Blige." I could do that, but I don't have the thought process or the plan to make her even as close, remotely close as Mary J. Blige, because I'm literally just copying right now. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the problem. If you're cheating off somebody with a test, you know what I mean? That person has the knowledge to figure out, okay, this is where we going next. We're going to do a remix. I'm going to do this. The other person's literally just watching what you do and then trying to, follow behind you. I don't know if y'all watched the Wu series, but it was this dude following RZA around the record store. Like, what records you buy? Like, you know what I mean? Whereas when you're the person, let me just pick up something to make people think. I do that on my SoundCloud. I would put I put records on next to my beats, and people think that's where I got them from. And I do that just to fuck with people. Like, this is not where the sample comes from. Like, y'all gonna be on a wild goose chase for the rest of y'all fucking life. Because niggas like, oh damn, Kill, you be put up where you got your samples from? Like, yeah, sure, yeah, that's what I do. So I think that's the thing. When you're the person with the vision, you're able to make it go further than the person who's just copying. And I think that's, again, like you said, Elise, not to the detriment of the artist, like they weren't dope enough. But it's literally like your A&R in the 90s was like your head coach. Rel, as you know, as an Eagles fan, I don't think it's a lot of our players. I think it's our coaching staff. And if your coaching staff isn't putting you in a good position to win games, no matter how talented you are, you're not going to win games. And that's really what the A&R was for music in the 90s. They were the coaching staff. So if your coaching staff don't put you in a position to win, no matter how talented you are, no matter how great you can sing, you're still a Mary J knockoff. And that's what we're going to know you as.
Right. Right.
Bro, what you got up for your next one, good brother?
All right, my next one, I got Paid in Full. Eric B. and Rakim. Before that album, there was a certain cadence and a certain way people rap. They kind of yelled and party rocked a little bit. There we go. And
I hate her.
I love it. I love it. It's called, I call that part of the show talk your shit. That's the talk your shit part of the show.
Oh, right, absolutely.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. That right there, that changed the way people rap. Like that. After that, like, cause I know I was watching. I watch like people review. I like to watch like young people review albums from back in the day, and they're so amazed by a lot of this stuff. Like if they're really interested, right? And like when you hear how he's rapping, and the guy was like, "This is in what year is this?" And you think about it. Like for that to be that far back, and how he sounds and the way he's putting his verses together, and is how intricate it is just, it was never the same after that album. You know what I'm saying? It was, you couldn't get away with some of that other shit no more. You know what I mean? Like you was whack after that. You know what I'm saying? So
a lot of pioneers were getting left behind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So that changed a lot. My R&B question is, I'm watching certain stuff and I see like back in the day they had certain instances where the singer or group couldn't even really be on the cover. Like they would put other people on the cover or put stuff on the cover, and they couldn't be out in the forefront like that. So my question is, who was the first R&B star, meaning a person that could be put out there and marketed and face on the cover and all that with good music?
Really? I would say a lot of the artists really, because you saying the first, it's kind of hard, because I would say after like the 50s it happened, because before then they didn't put a lot of us on the cover. But once like Motown and Stax kind of came in, our artists were actually on the cover. Marvin was able to be on the cover. You know what I mean? The Supremes and the Four Tops and all of them were able to be on the cover. And it seemed like the only time it really switched back, it was when Tina Marie came out. Because you know her first album, she wasn't on the cover. You thought she was black. So when you saw her on Soul Train, it was like, whoa, word? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, for real? So it kind of switched, but I would say it really had to start really in the 60s for real. And it really kind of, but then you kind of think, because Ray Charles was on his too. And that was 50s. Jackie Wilson was on his. Sam too. So I mean, yeah, it would be them, I would say.
Yeah. You know what, John?
Yeah.
Because of this question and because it's your favorite singer, why didn't they put the Gladys Knight and the Pips on these?
You know what? Me and my mother was just talking about this a couple of days ago because we love I Feel a Song and we like, why didn't they put?
That's my shit. That's like my favorite. You know that's my shit. Okay.
Yes. I don't understand because I'm like, when they came out with Imagine, you see them on the cover. So I'm like, why didn't they put them on that? And then when you got to Visions, they didn't put them on there either. Like, I'm lost. Like, I never really understood that. Was it cheaper not to put them on there? I don't know. I really don't. That's crazy.
Neither one of us. Claudine,
they on there. Because, I mean, when they went from Motown to Buddha, and I'm like, y'all already had them on 2 album covers. You come out with I Feel a Song, and you got Clouds? I'm confused. I'm lost. Like,
yo, you can't get no worse than that. Like, yo, nigga, we ain't gonna put you on the album cover. What's gonna be on my album cover? Just Clouds, nigga. Just Clouds.
Like, the fuck? I was like, I don't know. Maybe that's when they knew they were about to dip. You know what I mean? Like we about to dip and go to Columbia. Because you see all the albums. Well, then they get to Visions on Columbia, and they ain't on that. That's some weird ass shit. I don't know. Them A&Rs, that shit was stupid.
Okay. I just love sitting back listening to y'all two go at it.
I'm sorry.
At least what you got up next?
She does that often because me and my mom had a conversation about that. And she was like, yo, I was listening to I Feel a Song. And she always like, I always wonder why they weren't on the cover. I was like, Ma, I don't know. And she was like, they were on Imagine, right? And I'm like, yeah. She was like, maybe they were on tour or something and they didn't have time to make the album cover or something. I don't know, but it just didn't make no sense. And they were established, so I don't get it. Buddha kind of fucked up with that one, for real.
All right. Elise, what you got up next, miss?
So I got next. I'm going back and forth. You might have to skip me for a second. Skip me for a second. Yeah.
All right, no doubt. I got you. We are going with 2 songs from a producer, Tribe's Wordplay and Farside's Bullshit, off of Lab Cab in California. We're talking about Mr. James Yancey, JD. First time I heard Wordplay, similar thing with Timbaland. Like, yo, why are the drums off? Why does it sound like that? Same thing with Bullshit off of Farside, second album, Lab Cab. The Dilla drums and Dilla's bass tones. For Dilla's bass tones, I'm looking at Fantastic Volume 1, not necessarily 2. And I'm also looking at J88, which was an EP that came out before this joint with The Look of Love. So, you're talking about Dilla's drums, his bass tones. A great example for somebody who wants to hear what I'm talking about, Keith Murray's remix to The Rhyme, the Uma remix. There was a lot of stuff that said the Uma that people thought Q-Tip did, that Dilla did, which is why he broke off from that and started his production company called Pay J Productions, was because when you heard the Uma, you just assumed Q-Tip did it. So it's hard being a producer to be like, yo, I did such and such. Like, no, you didn't. Q-Tip did that. It's like, there's only so much of that shit before you like, all right, this ain't working. Like, you're looking for putting me on, my nigga, but Pay J. You know what I mean?
That's how the hitman must have felt anyway.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Because And again, we Dilla, D-Dot, real quick, just to go back over when D-Dot was on Math Show and he was talking about, yo, why y'all be giving Dilla all this love and woo, 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 my catalog. And I'm like, dog, a couple of things. Number one, you wanted to make music for the clubs and for the women. That was who you decided to make music for. Now, the problem with that is those people didn't really love hip-hop. So they're not keeping your name alive 20, 30 years later. Your name was loved while we was in the club dancing and popping bottles, but nigga, we done moved on. Number two, when you're in the Hitman, for a lot of people, they just thought Puff did all the beats.
And people really thought that and still do to this day.
Yeah, so when D-Dot is like, why don't I get more love or why don't people respect my catalog? Number one, we don't know what you did because it was the Hitman. You know what I mean? So many times the Hitman would say D-Dot, Ron Amen, or Nasheem, or Carlos Brody. You know what I mean? So you don't know who did what. You know, so again, you know, I think that that's one of those things where, you know, he's like, oh, you know, my legacy. And I'm like, sometimes you got to make that decision on your legacy early on. You know,
can I say something about that as well?
Yeah.
Based off of the music that I heard, he wasn't the best hitman to me.
And wasn't.
I liked Nasheem way better. The song.
I think people are looking at it. I think he's looking at it as he had the singles. You know what I mean? He did Hypnotize. He did the Benjamins. He did. So I think he's looking at it more from a standpoint of the big songs. He did Money Cash shows. No, I'm bugging. What is the locks with Lil' Kim? Money Power Respect.
Money Power Respect.
Like he did those songs. Nasheem did more of the Who Shot You, the T.O.N.Y. You know, he did more of the boom-bap stuff versus, you know.
Commercial, you know, Hypnotized, wonderful, whatever, but it ain't no best.
No.
Even better than him.
I mean,
I would go Chucky.
I don't like that song.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing. I know a lot of people from Brooklyn who don't like Hypnotize. You know what I'm saying? Who aren't.
I ain't from Brooklyn, but
right of that song. But I think for D-Dot, it was just more so like, look at the hits that I have. But again, I think what you have to realize, the people who are going to keep your name alive are going to be the underground people. Because we were the people who were loving this music when I was 10. I'm still the person who's loving the music 40 years later. Now I'm about to turn 50. You know, again, the people who you made music for aren't still even thinking about that no more. You know, they're not thinking about, oh, remember we was in the tunnel, or remember we was it. They moved on. You know what I mean? So again, you know, I think you make those choices as to, same thing with DJ Quick. I think one of the reasons why Quick's name doesn't come up a lot is he didn't produce for a lot of other people. You know, he didn't want to give his sound away. Duly noted. The only problem is that will kind of help, will hurt when somebody's doing a best of Quick mix and it's all just Quick. You know what I mean? I could do a best of Premier mix and not even have to throw in any Gangsta. I could do a best of Pete mix and not have to throw in any Pete and CL Smooth because they did so much stuff for other people. Quick didn't want to give his sound away, which that's your thing. But now 30 years later, that's hurt. Not your legacy, but just hurt your name coming up in more conversations. Whereas he deserves to be in more conversations. And the same thing with Dilla. I mean, at the end of the day, so many people bid his stuff. I remember being at 889. I got the sampler for Jill Scott's album. I'm listening to it. I'm like, whoo, Dilla getting this R&B music, this R&B money now. Like, this nigga's killing this Jill Scott album. So you can only expect my surprise when I get the album and I open it up and it says produced by a touch of jazz. You know, when I heard music's Just Sunny, Just Some Friends, or whatever that shit is called, Just Friends, that's nothing but Dilla.
Is he JR today?
Yeah, he is with that song. Yes, he'll always do that. He always say that. You always say Just Sunny, or you're like, I
don't know what the fucking name of the song is. I mean, it's like, it was the weirdest song because it was like, Just Sunny. I don't fucking know the name of the song. What is that song?
But a thing that happens when you are a rapper that is also a producer, if people don't like you as an MC, you're already missing out on a huge chunk of people liking you as a producer. Just it just might not like. It'd be plenty of people like, DJ Quick doesn't rap the way that I enjoy rap the most. So you miss out on 100 beats because you don't listen to him.
Right.
You know, you hear him on a couple other people's things, and that's it. So that's your only point of reference.
Right. And that's almost me, except it was the perm. The perm threw me in 1991. I wasn't ready for a nigga with a perm, so we didn't do perm. So that really would fuck me up. But the Dilla thing, I mean, everybody bid it. You can look at the whole. I always say a touch of jazz should be doing tithes and offerings to Dilla's family for eternity, giving 10% of everything they make, because all the flowetry, everything coming out of a touch of jazz sounded like Dilla. And I remember Quest saying in the interview that they wanted Dilla on, I think, the Jill Scott album, but because they were working on other stuff with the Soulquarians, they couldn't get it, so they just emulated his sound. You know what I mean? Similar to what Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis did with Got Till It's Gone. You know what I mean? Because I've always been under the assumption that that's a Dilla beat. And when I got the album and it said produced by Jam and Lewis, I was like, I don't know if I believe this shit, because this shit is very Dillish. But maybe because everybody else is biting it. But then they gave him the JD's Revenge remix, which I'm like, there's powers in words. Why is this called the JD Revenge remix, not just the Dilla remix? You know what I mean? So again, everybody was biting their style, R&B, hip hop, everything. That's Dilla. Now, similar to JR's with Mary J's, I am going with D'Angelo's Brown Sugar. And the people who came from that, music's debut to me was a blatant bite of that. Chico DeBarges, and I love Long Time No See. I think it's a 5 mic classic in my opinion, but it's all fucking D'Angelo. You know, I'll never forget when I saw Ig and Me, I was like, oh, I got to buy this album because this sounds like D'Angelo. And at that time, you know, D'Angelo's like the male version of Sade. He's dropping every 10 years. So, you know, Brown Sugar comes out in 96. There you go. Love that album. Love it to fucking
I do. But this is a rare occasion. I will agree with you, Kill. It is a huge Brown Sugar ripoff. But it goes.
Yeah, it is great. It's, I mean, the remix for what's the joint with Joe? No Guarantee, the one with Joe. I mean, even his Trouble Man. I mean,
I love his Trouble Man too. Yes,
a good album, but it is a blatant rip. JR and Rel will give me hell for it, but who the hell cares? You know, I don't care.
Go.
We go. Let's go. Let's go, my man in the building right here. Okay. We Can Get Down. When I heard We Can Get Down, I was like, oh, this is all D'Angelo right here. I know y'all hate this album cover. This is a good goddamn album. I don't care what y'all say. Y'all keep making fun of me until I'm on my deathbed. It's a good album.
Making fun of the cover.
The cover. I get it. The cover is whack. We could have went with that for
that one. That should have been the cover.
For the main cover, not his break the bad dollars. Okay, so again, your A&R could kill you. This goes back to your coaching staff. Somebody on the coaching staff should have said, nigga, stand up or sit up. Do something. Do a Michael Teddy and lay on the side. Do a Lionel, but nigga, you can't be laid down on the bed.
But speaking of Chico, I just want folks to know that Love Still Good is one of the best fucking songs.
You talking about setting the album off.
That ever song. That song is exquisite.
Love Still Good.
That is what I refer to as a perfect song. There is nothing I would change. Not one note, not one beat, not one.
No, ma'am.
I mean, everything on here. Love Still Good, Ig and Me, Virgin, No Guarantee, Miss Wonderful, Was It Good, Physical Pain,
Love Jones,
Trouble Man, Love Jones. I mean, this whole joint it's lovely. I love it. 5 mics, but it's all D'Angelo. So it's just
it is.
And it's just the influence of it. And plus, D'Angelo left the lane open because while we're waiting for the next follow-up that we of course didn't get for 4 years. It kind of was like, yo, in the meantime, I'm gonna go with all these boys. Anybody who sounds like D, I'll take it. Like, you know what I mean? Some of them were great, some of them were good. So yeah, I got that for that.
And when after D'Angelo did it, like that made people want to hear that type of music. But like you said, he left the lane wide open and he was gone.
Yeah, he was MIA. So and again, I'm not mad.
People were craving that sound.
Right, and I'm not mad at any of the 3 people that I named because I think they all were good albums. I like Music's first album. I like Chico's first album, Myron's first album. So again, just because you're biting somebody's style doesn't mean it has to necessarily be whack. Like all three of those albums to me are dope, which is kind of the flip of the Yvette Michelles, the Miss Jones, the, Mona Lisas who weren't able to. Well, here's the wild part, because none of these dudes really, except music, kept going. Yo, did JR just disappear?
He did.
Yo, no, it really looked like he just disappeared.
I had to sneeze.
Oh, okay. I'm like, this nigga really on his Doc and Marty shit. Like, this nigga went back to 1955 to find the original rail and find the album.
Yeah, like dude on Atlanta, just
right, But outside of music, nobody really had a successful career. Yeah. Like Chico's second album didn't do anything. Myron's second album, outside of music, he was the only one who kind of kept moving.
But Chico shot himself in the foot because he kept getting in trouble, and so those albums couldn't be promoted because the second album isn't bad.
That's true.
But he couldn't stay out of trouble, so he did that to himself because he had a good trajectory going.
Right. And I think with music, I mean, that Touch of Jazz crew, even though they bit Dilla, you've got talented producers like, Dre and Vidal. I forgot the two others who produced a lot of stuff for Fake, Ivan and Carvin. Like, you had a great production crew over there, good songwriters. Because again, it's not the shit on them, because music, Flowetry, Glenn, what's my man's from Canada?
Glenn Lewis,
like they had a nice little crew over there and was coming up with some good music. So it's not a knock on them. At least you don't like Glenn Lewis?
Album, no.
I actually love Glenn Lewis, and Glenn Lewis has newer music that I play a lot with the playlist. Look up playlist Glenn Lewis.
Oh no! I love that joint. No, Goosebumps. Chasing Goosebumps. I love that album.
Oh, dope. But I thought that album, what was it? Out My Window. What was it?
Out My Window. There's only like 3 songs I liked on there. I like the single. He had Slow Jam on there.
I think it's a bad album.
It's nothing but a Stevie bite to me.
But Don't You Forget It is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah. I forgot the name of that Slow Jam that was on there.
That's one of my favorite songs. Just definitely one of my favorite songs from that era. Like, hands down.
Yeah, definitely.
I still run that to this day, like a lot. So
and the video was dope too. So that always helps. JR, what you got up next, bro?
All right. Since you said albums, right? And then
anything.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna go to Brandy's Never Say Never, and I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna go back because I mean Rodney was doing stuff and his sound was getting put in other places, but he wasn't the producer that you focused on. Just like we just said with Timbaland doing Aaliyah's One in a Million, Rodney Jerkins is on there too. He did a song, Everything's All Right. Nobody pays attention to that. Then he did Mary. He did Share My World, I Can Love You, Searching. Like, he did a lot on Share My World, but again, nobody pays attention. It was when him and Brandy got together. Everybody wanted that sound after that. Everybody. And I mean everybody. And it was just a whole, everybody wanted it. Our legends came back. Michael wanted it. Whitney wanted it. Tony wanted it. Destiny Child wanted it. You know what I mean? He gave it to, J-Lo. She did what she did with it. But, other than that, it was like... once they came out with that, it was a sound that everybody wanted and everybody tried to get. So, I give that to that.
So, Jared, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, because the songs you listed that Rodney did before, the Mary joints, were big songs, you think it was because, unlike Timbaland, he wasn't all in the videos, and so people didn't connect as far as knowing him?
Yeah, I think that, because I think with Mary, you're focusing on her. And mind you, this is after Puff with Share My World. So she is like, it's all me. You know what I mean? Even though she working with Jam and Lewis and all this, you're focusing on her. Then he worked with Brownstone. Brownstone wasn't big like that. So he still wasn't getting no shine like that. Brandy, he gets to her. We know Brandy was huge. She was out of here. So it's like, Ooh, you working with her. This sound, you focusing on everything that Brandy do. You focusing who she working with, who's writing, who's this. And that's when we get to know LaShawn. We got to know Fred. We got to know Rodney. We got to know all these people because of the artist that she was. And it was like a whole team of things. And that's when we learn of Rodney. But then you be like, wait a minute. Rodney worked with Joe. He did the original Don't Want to Be a Player. He worked, you know what I'm saying? He worked with Gina Thompson. That's why he in the video, y'all, of the things you do. But people don't think. People think, wait a minute. Puff and them did that, you know, the hit.
Well, ain't nobody go look at nobody else and the things you do because Missy in it.
Right, that part. You see Rodney sitting in the car, but Missy is dancing in front of him.
I had forgot Rodney was in that video, to be honest.
Yeah, truth be told, I didn't know the boy was in
I don't
the
even think
video
about Tina. I just think about Missy. And she was in it for, what, 15 seconds? 20 seconds? How long did he have verses? That's how long she was in it.
That's it.
And I think another thing, too, with a lot of R&B producers, once we started getting reality TV, that started allowing, not saying it was good television, but it started showing you people. Like, I want to say that may have been the first time I saw Brian Michael. God, my brain is really bugging right now. Brian Michael Cox. Like, that was one of the first times that I saw him was like on the Bad Boy joint, you know, the making of the band and stuff like that. Even with the Brandy stuff, that's probably like the most I saw Chucky, because again, that 90s era, we're not in YouTube yet. We don't have where you could just go on YouTube and see people. So for a lot of those producers who were on their Suge Knight, you don't want to be all in the video. People didn't know who the hell you was.
I got a question for you, because you was at the radio station during this time. And I'm talking about like 97, 98, 99, going into that part where I'm talking about. Wasn't they putting on the singles produced by so-and-so as well? Were they doing that then?
Yeah, they were definitely on the singles, but you gotta understand, when you're dealing with a lot of those artists, anything that was coming out on Bad Boy usually always had Puff's name first. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Even when for the J album, American Gangster with Sean C and LV, I heard that it was like, hey, I'm gonna get these beats to Jay, but nigga, you coming up off half that publishing and I'm getting production credit on it. So if you look at American Gangster album, everything says that's doing Sean and LV, that's not Pharrell or not, No ID, is saying produced by Sean Puffy Combs and Sean C and LV. So again, Elise kind of touched on it. The average person isn't going to read the entire paragraph that comes with who did what. You're just gonna do, where the music nerds who want to know where was it recorded, who was the engineer, what studio were they using, did they use the same studio on every song? We're the nerds who want to know that. The average person just like produced by, Sean Puffy Combs, okay, that's it, and you keep it moving. You know what I mean? So a lot of the reality TV shows were the first time I saw Chucky and Rodney. And Rodney, who was Brandy's baby father? His cousin or something that produced music too?
You're talking about Robert Smith.
Yeah, like, that was the first time we saw a lot of them. So again, it's sad that they didn't know at that time, like, damn, I got to be in the videos to get the props that I deserve. Because like you said, some people just want to play the background. You know what I mean? And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. But the problem is, if you do that, your name may not get out there. So it's kind of like you got to toot your own horn. Sometimes.
That's because I wanted to ask you, because I didn't know, because I thought at a time that's when producers started getting more of the shine than the artists during that time.
I remember the big one.
The big one.
I remember being in Atlanta.
Just think of all of the people that was working with Dre and stuff, but all you heard is Dre.
Right. And to see all the other people's names, again, you've got to be a nerd. You've got to want to go and dig and see, okay, who's the associate producer and who's the co-producer and all that. Like, at the end of the day, if you're reading the book, I'll give you a great example. Most people who have their autobiography, they're writing it with somebody else. Yes. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the average bookworm, if they're like, I'm reading, just throw a name out there, Michael Bivins' autobiography, they're not looking at the name that's under it, like written with. You know what I mean? They're just looking at, Mike wrote a book. It's like, no, Mike told his story and someone else wrote the book, but you're not thinking of that person. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to be like, Not many people are going to be like the autobiography of Malcolm X written by Alex Haley. You know, it's just going to be like, oh, it's the autobiography of Malcolm X. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the same way. I think once you get past produced by Timbaland, nobody is seeing co-produced by Danger. You know what I mean? It's just produced by Timbaland, and then Timbaland's in the video. So it's kind of just like, even if you keep reading and you're like, Danger, you're like, yeah, he probably just did X, Y, and Z because Timbaland did the beat, you know?
And JR, you know what that makes me think? It also, if a producer has worked with an artist for a long time, a lot of time people will assume, speaking of Timbaland, will assume that Timbaland did it. And that's not the case. Example, Aaliyah. People think that last album is this Timbaland Missy album, and what they have 2 songs, 3?
3 songs. That's it.
They didn't even do
I remember everybody thinking that
album, but they had the first single too. So, which it shouldn't have went that way, but they had the first single. So that's what people associate. So they think that they did that album. But no, they was kind of on the outs by then. So
because I remember that slow song that I just want to be with you. I can't live without that joint. People thought Timbaland did that, and Tim didn't do that. Y'all know the joint I'm talking about. It's like, I can't breathe without you, sleep without you. I can't even. Right, that joint. You know what I mean? People thought Timbaland did that. So like you said, it's by association. And the sad part is, by the time you get to a certain point, it's all about name association. Especially now. I was talking to Amir the other night. Me and Amir probably got about 8 songs together. And I said, yo, if you drop this album right now and you said produced by Pete Rock, niggas will be eating that shit up.
Hell yeah.
But if it just says produced by Kill, it's not going to have the same oomph. And I won't hold you. I'm guilty of that. If I see something that says produced by Pete Rock, I'm going to run to it a lot faster than if I see produced by Rel. Because I don't know who Rel is. You know what I mean?
You always talk about that when it was written.
Truth be told, with this album right here, when Porsche hit me, was like, yo, is this dude named Amir? I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. What? Why? Oh, Pete produced it. Oh, okay, let me go buy that shit. Like, it's just the name that comes with it. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of wanting the name. So again, it's like I told Amir, like, hey, you may have to use Pete's name because people still care. You know what I mean? So it is whack because, like you said, at least a lot of people are probably like, oh, Timbaland and them did that, not knowing somebody up and new was doing the album. You know what I mean? Which could have been the flip if Aaliyah and
somebody knew.
Right. If Aaliyah and Candyman didn't have the outs and we knew about it, we may have thought 1 in a million was him. You know what I mean? But because we knew they weren't working together anymore, it was like, who did this then?
That's true.
So you kind of need that break, like you kind of said, like a couple breaking up. Like it needs to be official. Like, yo, Pete and CL are no longer working together. So whatever you hear from CL now is somebody else. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing. Bro, what you got up next, bro?
I got MC Lyte, Lyte as a Rock. The first full-length female hip-hop album where she's carrying the whole album, herself. And the thing about her, man, when I saw what was the video, man? Paper Thin, right?
Paper Thin.
Like she had like a presence that like I can't even really explain. Like it was like I don't know, like she just was different, man. And she's opened the door for other female artists to be able to, because I'm sure others might have been capable, but just that opportunity to carry your own solo album, not just a 12-inch, not a single, a full-length solo album from a female. So that's my hip hop pick.
And not only is it the full album, but it's an album that people respect.
Exactly. Yep. And it's fire. So like, you know what I mean? It's quality. You know what I mean? And my R&B question is, where and who is responsible for neo soul?
Oh Lord Jesus.
I'm gonna let JR have this one because this is his pet peeve.
Oh,
I don't
God,
like-
I hate that word. What? So,
Yeah, I don't like it, man. That's why I gave it this.
Yeah. So you want to kind of,
And we've talked to you about it, so you
Yes.
a little bit.
Yes.
yeah,
yes,
a little bit.
Now you about to get the full court press.
Yes.
Right. So you want to be really who's responsible for it, right?
Yes.
In reality, when that word is really Erica. It's really Erica. That name started with her, but it was because of Kedar. Everybody fit that neo soul into it, starting with D'Angelo. That's where everybody want to start with. But if you want to be real with it, you can go back with. At least, did we say that you can really start with Michelle? Can't you start with her?
With who?
With Michelle. With
Michelle Neal.
Yeah. With Plantation Lullabies.
Lullabies. I couldn't think of the title. I couldn't think of our album title. Yeah, you can really start with her because of the thickness of what her album was. If you want to kind of go there. But everybody really want to give, D'Angelo the king of neo soul. But it was because of Kedar. But it really started with Erica, with Baduism. He gave it a name, just like I said before on the show, how you had hip hop soul before, but when you gave Mary the Queen, it became hers. When it became neo soul, and that's when we first heard it, we heard it with Erica. She became the queen of neo soul. It wasn't even a name when D'Angelo came out with it. He'd already even come out with a name in 95. You know what I'm saying? We didn't hear it until we heard it with Erica, but they put him all up in there. So.
But to tell y'all why we have a problem with it and why Rel had to put it in quotes about neo soul is it grouped together a whole lot of artists that actually were very, very different.
Yes.
But what they had in common is that you had a breakaway from all the synths and the just hip hop loops of the 90s. You had to break away from that. That's what they had in common. It was bands and concept albums and
real instrumentation,
really dynamic production.
Yeah.
That end of the 90s, that just was not the sound. Mm-hmm. You only heard that on some kind of underground things, but mainstream or even the middle of the stream, you wasn't really hearing it.
Right.
So that's what they ushered in, but their sounds are different. An Erica album do not sound even a little bit like a Jill album. Those albums cannot sound any more different to me.
Right. Music in D'Angelo.
A Maxwell album don't sound like a D'Angelo album
at all.
Shout out to them on my picture right there. But they're my favorites. Those albums that sound. Then they tried to throw Rashawn Patterson into that. They tried
that pissed me off.
They threw him in just because off his look, right? Because his album.
Yes, because he had the freaking afro, and that was it. His album
But you know who else they put in it? They put Music Soul Child in it.
Yep.
They put later Floetry in it. They put Kindred the Family Soul in it. And all those groups had a distinctive sound, a style, a certain way of delivery, different kind of voices.
So tell me this: do you think
people's just happy to hear a fucking instrument? Honestly,
but do you think it helped or hurt? Because there were some people who, again, thinking not as music snobs, not as music nerds, but for the average person who's like, "Oh, I like neo soul. Oh, new group, Kendrick the Family Soul, they're neo soul. Let me check them out." You know what I mean? So do you think it helped or hurt for the average music listener? Not for us, but just the average Joe.
It hurt.
I got an answer.
Okay.
It did both.
It did. I was just going to. It did both. Yeah.
Just like in business or investing, you want to get in on the ground floor. So the people that were so D'Angelo, Maxwell, Erica, Jill, which is the names you always hear. Well, you always hear them because they were kind of first. But anyone attached to it, when that kind of went out of style in the mainstream, those people hurt because for one, people they didn't understand their sound, but they didn't realize that they never had that same sound as those people. And so they weren't really checking for it. And then it was out of fashion, even though that's not even what they were making.
Right. And that's what really hurt Kendrick and the family and Kendrick family.
It came out too late.
It came out too late because this is the beginning of 2003. By then, Neo Soul was done. Everybody was sick of it. A new sound was coming in, which is the album I'm going to talk about. But a different sound was coming in. So now you're grouping all of those people in there, and nobody cares anymore. It's like, oh, Neo Soul, whatever, that's out. We on to the new. You know what I mean?
All right, so tell me this. I got a question.
But they'll still buy the Erica and all that because those were they were in the beginning. They were so huge that it didn't matter what genre they were singing.
Yes.
All right, question. Me and Rel are like this time. Apartment 5B just got questions for the R&B reps. So here's the thing: was it that Jill was so talented? Because Jill didn't drop till 2000, so she wasn't on the ground floor. You know what I mean? She's actually kind of late to the party.
Not really.
Not exactly.
Not really. Not really. Because, like we said, Erica this was 97 when Neo Soul kind of burst and it became completely mainstream. By the time we knew who Jill was, this was 2000. This is when it exploded. Like, this is when, what's his name? D'Angelo comes out with Voodoo. Erica comes out with Mama's Gun. Then Music comes out with his. Then Jill comes out with her. This is all 2000. 2000 is when it really was marketable. And that's when, like you just said, when you don't give people the credit in the beginning because, nobody really knows. But once it became marketable, that's when everybody paid attention. So the people that you paid attention to was D'Angelo, Erica, Jill. Those are the ones, and Maxwell. You know what I mean?
But how many other groups were there between 97 and 2000 who we don't talk about? The Rashawn Pattersons. I'm sure there were some female singers.
Oh, because Rashawn, that's not the... They put them in that category?
They put them in that category. Okay, but were there any female singers?
If you they realized it wasn't it.
If you're going to listen to Rashawn music...
It's not that.
Him being put in that category did him a disservice because that music didn't count anything.
Okay.
Like,
what about Adriana Evans?
You think of, but I'm gonna go back to Rashawn. Rashawn had been in the industry. He worked with traditional R&B groups,
right?
And singers of the late 80s and 90s.
Right.
He was working with them, and he wasn't making music like that. But because of how he looked. They put him with these other artists, and people would go and listen to like, that's not that.
And
but
so did them
that are music heads and appreciate music heard it, and it's like, this is the second coming. You know what I'm saying? So
right. But for the average listener, it was a disservice because it's like I'm ordering a Sprite and you giving me water. Like this ain't what I'm here for. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And you said Adriana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just throwing out some names.
Like Adriana, her album again. That album didn't sound like no Neo Soul. She was another one like Rashawn. Adriana's album did not sound nothing like Erica's. Didn't sound nothing like D'Angelo.
Hers was more hip hop.
Hers was more hip hop, which she did in 94, 95, but the label waited too long and brought it out.
Because
her album was done.
This picture says Neo Soul.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, but they put the album
but just it's like Ralph said, like you just have the look, so this is where they're gonna put you just based off of your look.
But they put the album out 2 years later.
2 years later.
And so that probably was their last ditch effort to get people to pay attention because people are kind of off that sound for the moment.
And mind you,
they came back to it though.
That album came out in April. Erica's came out in February. So Loud said, let's jump on this train and throw her in there to compete with Erica because now we have somebody that we can throw her in. Loud didn't know what to do with that girl. Like,
JR, you better never forget my birthday because you can remember when every album came out on what month and everything. So you can never forget my birthday.
I never forget your birthday because you damn sure forgot mine last year.
Ooh. Well, shit. Well, here's the thing. I tell niggas I suck on birthday. Don't ask me when the album came out. Don't you ask me when the album came out. I can't tell you the year, let alone the month.
Everybody on our timeline was wishing me happy birthday, and then Kill like 2 days later called me, was like, "It was your birthday?" I was like, 2 days ago.
Bro, I tell you, I can remember Tanya's, my mom's, and Naomi's. That's all I'm responsible for at 49. That's all I got.
You know, Kill to remember your birthday at all.
Tell me this, Alicia Keys. Did they put her in there?
They did. Her debut. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
But she was just,
and what I don't like. And what I don't like what they did with Alicia is she will go up there when she win awards and she will shout them out. She will be like, I want to shout out D'Angelo. I want to shout out Erica. I want to shout out Jill. I want to shout out. If you go on all of her wins for her debut, she will shout them out. Because they threw her in there too. You know what I mean? And you know, come on. Songs of A minor don't sound shit like any of that. It had no thickness to it either.
Her only album that sound even approaching neo soul is the Diary of Alicia Keys. Yep. And that's because she got the neo soul people working on it.
Okay.
For part of it. I mean, and not just that, but that's her most soulful album. Yep. in my and a lot of people's opinions.
Right. Totally get it. Yeah, what you got up next, bro?
I thought I just went.
Yeah. It's on.
He asked a question. I went to. I didn't know you went. I kind of fucked up the order.
Yeah, because I went, and then you asked Rel, and then I think it's on Elise.
Answer the question. Elise, what you got? Right, because we skipped you. That's what it was.
I know, but we have talked about things that I was gonna say because the neo soul one I was gonna.
So we had that conversation.
To JR about it before, of who we really thought kind of started that, and / like concept albums, but those go hand in hand, like concept bodies of work albums,
right.
Which didn't last. That's another flash in the pan genre designation. It was quick like New Jack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mainstream.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. The next joint I got up is PE's It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Just the influence of just blackness. Like, you know, there was a time that everybody was wearing rope chains, wearing gold, wearing the 4 finger rings and everything like that. And for years I gave PE the props for stopping that. And PE does play a part. But after reading Paradise's great book on Latin Quarters, come to find out Latin Quarters wanted to stop all the robberies that were going on. So they wanted people to start wearing more African medallions and things like that, for people to stop wearing gold, for it to be getting snatched in the club every week. So PE did have an influence because they started, you know, more people were wearing the Flavor Flav clocks and wearing the African medallions and everything like that. But after It Takes a Nation, I mean, everybody was doing some type of pro-blackness, whether it was Def Jeff out on the West Coast, King Son was doing it, BDP, Paris out in Oakland, Intelligent Hoodlum. I mean, everybody at some point, even if your whole album wasn't dedicated to some type of pro-blackness, you had a pro-black song somewhere on your album saying something about, you know, black is black or whatever. It's just you had to do that some way. I'm similar to Rel in this category because I was making this list. Now I got a question for y'all. When I felt like in the 60s and the 70s, correct me if I'm wrong, there were groups. I felt like the 80s was more of like a solo time. Am I right on that? Like, were there a lot more soloists than groups? Because I was like trying to think about, okay, Jodeci, I was going to say how like Jodeci style influenced the Drew Hills and the Jagged Edges. But then I started thinking about how Boyz II Men and Jodeci both dropped in 91. Now we get this slew of boy groups, not boy groups, but, you know, male groups again. And I was like thinking back to the 80s, and I was like, did we have that? Like, we had the Luthers, we had the Freddys, we had the Alexander O'Neills, the James Ingram, but we didn't have a lot of male groups in the 80s, correct?
That's correct. There weren't a lot. There were groups, but the groups we did have didn't cross over in the same way like the 90s did.
Right.
Or didn't blow up. Right. I mean, they didn't even do. It's a lot of groups in the 80s that didn't even do good on R&B charts. But
right.
So do you guys feel like Jodeci and Boyz II Men kind of ushered in all the groups that were coming, similar to En Vogue? Because En Vogue was kind of, were they like one of the first girl groups of the 80s that then brought in the TLCs, the SWVs, and just so on like that?
Yeah. Yes. They were En Vogue definitely started that. You know what I mean? And once, because you're right.
That was one of my picks.
What, En Vogue?
Yeah, Born to Sing. Yeah.
Listen. But I think you're right, Kill, because that's why it's nothing new under the sun, and I try to say that on social media, but again, whatever. By the 80s, I think once Michael blew with Thriller 2, it was like, let's focus on the solo artist. Let's focus on that, because we can make money like that. So this was still like, that's why a lot of our groups wasn't crossing over then. And that's why all of a sudden these white new wave was coming in. Because again, in the 70s, we were killing it then. We had all of our bands and all of our groups and all of this. And it was males and female groups. It was nuts in the 70s. Shit, it was nuts from the 50s to the 70s. And you see mainstream white try to do what we do. So that's why in the 80s, it became more of those bands that was popping, this new wave and all this. So now it was a focus on our solo artists, the Lute, the Alexander O'Neills, all that. So finally, thank God you had these A&Rs that was like, listen, we need groups to be the focal point again. We need that for our solo artists to really cross over and be up there. And that's why En Vogue comes out with Born to Sing. Boom, we can get girl groups. Jodeci and Boyz II Men. We don't have to get groups with suits. We can get Jodeci that's wearing, you know what I'm saying, where they represent the hood. And it's like, now everybody want a carbon copy of that. And it just started flowing and flowing and flowing. So, yeah. I think in the 80s it started, though.
Elise, did you want to touch on En Vogue's Born to Sing?
Well, yeah, but back to groups. The groups, it actually wasn't a lot of groups in the 80s, and a lot of the groups that were still, a lot of those 70s groups did have longevity. So
because they were the ones that kind of tallied into the 80s, like Shalimar and
Midnight Star,
Atlantic Star,
Gap Band. I didn't even know that's a band, but still, Gap Band.
Lakeside, Confunction, all them. Like,
they were still, N.W.A, like, they were still SOS. Like, they were still doing stuff. So, you know, shit, even OJs and all them had hits in the 80s. Like, so it was just, those 70s group had a lot more longevity than a lot of the groups that came after them in those 90s.
Right.
They had 20, 30, well, shit, they still, you know, they had decades long longevity.
Right. All right, JR, what you got next?
I was gonna say A. Marie, All I Have.
That was my other one.
Yeah, that once A. Marie came out with that, everything changed. Again, that's when Neo Soul stopped. It was done after that.
What year is this?
What year are we? Auto-tune, that was Def for Neo Soul.
Def for Neo Soul, that was 2002.
Rich Harris was
2003. Nobody, it was Neo Soul was done, which hurt Kendrick. It hurt them. So everything changed once, you know, what's the name? Rich Harrison came in with them extra hard drums, and you know, it was different. And I don't think, you know, the industry know A. Marie came and shook shit up. She did. You know what I mean? But again, because we wouldn't have gotten the Crazy in Love from B. We wouldn't have gotten her B-Day. We wouldn't have gotten, you know what I'm saying, the drums that Usher did on Take Your Hand. We wouldn't have got a lot of this stuff if A. Marie didn't do All That I Have. And I think she came and kind of shook shit up, and Columbia was like, let's try to give it to B, and let's try to give it to J-Lo, and let's try to give it to all of these people. And it kind of messed her up because they were already the big artists already. You know what I mean? Right. So it kind of, but her album shook shit up, and people don't want to talk about it, but it did.
And we did it.
I mean, after that, everybody wanted a Marie song from Tony Braxton, the Beyonce. Everybody wanted the Rich Harrison sound.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We talked about that album, R&B Raps with Zoe.
With Zoe.
Yeah. It was check it out if you ain't seen it. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Are we about to big y'all?
We don't all agree on everything on that one.
Absolutely not.
We ain't ending this show without me talking my shit about y'all. So we gonna talk about all of them episodes. Bro, what you got for your last one, bro?
I have Nas Illmatic, and I want to say something before I get into it. Some of you fake hip hop, y'all
get them down.
Some of y'all have ruined this album, and it pisses me off because Nas is my favorite artist, and I love this album, but y'all like use it as a crutch when y'all know what the hell y'all talking about with hip hop, and I want y'all to stop. Because it makes people talk negative about the album when they're not really trying to, but they're trying to tell you that there was hip hop before 1992, 94 that you just ignore and you go straight to Illmatic because that's what you know, and it makes people talk negative about the album when they're not really trying to. So that's my disclaimer. But let me go back. Nas Illmatic brought along the super producer album. Meaning, a lot of times in hip hop before that, you had one producer producing the album for the MC. With this album, you had all your top producers on one album coming together to do. You got Q-Tip, you got Primo, you got Extra P, you got Pete Rock, and you got LES. And they all collaborated to put together this album. And you really didn't see that a lot before this. But after this, you will start to see it a lot. So that's where I feel like there's other ways Illmatic was influential, because it was one of the albums, and not the only, but one of the albums that kind of brought a resurgence back to the East Coast. I think Wu's album did that, and there's some other albums that did, because the West was kind of in control. Not even kind of in control, they were in control. And, Illmatic, along with some other albums, were albums that brought the East back. So that's my hip hop pick. And my last
Hold on, bro. Hold tight for that before you get to the question with Illmatic, because I totally agree. And I feel like we did an episode of Live from the Writer's Bench on how Illmatic killed hip hop. You know what I mean? And the reason why I say that is because the one thing, and it's not Illmatic's fault, shit would have happened eventually, but I think the thing that kept hip hop sounding so different was because each producer had their own crew. So the Bomb Squad didn't sound, PE didn't sound like EPMD. EPMD didn't sound like Herbie Lovebug and Kid and Play and Salt and Pepper. And they didn't sound like, somebody who was over here. They didn't sound like the Juice Crew with Marley. So that's what made everybody sound so different. First Priority, Milk and Gibbs was doing a lot of them beats for Lyte. You know what I mean? So everybody had their own in-house producer. After Illmatic, it was kind of like this light that went off, and it was like, oh shit, you mean Pete does beats for other people besides CL? Or, oh, I didn't know I could get a Primo beat. Or, oh, I didn't know. So we did the show, which was an amazing show. So if everybody never saw it, I forgot the name of it, but I'll post it somewhere. But it was a show where we was talking about, can people really give away styles? Because everybody was mad, like, Rich Harrison gave away A. Marie's style, and Little Fontaine mad because Ninth gave away Little Brother sound, and people giving away sounds. But that's essentially what happened, because now it was like, oh, I kind of called it like my where you go, you're like your supersized meals at McDonald's. Like you're ready to make an album, like give me 2 Just Blazers, 1 Swiss Beat, 2 Pete Rocks, and give me 4 Buck Wilds. We go on. Like, people didn't make those albums like that in the 80s. It wasn't like, but that's literally, if you start looking at the 2000s, it's like, you got to have a Just Blaze for the streets. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a Down South song. You got to have and that album is what showed people we could do it. And actually, it wasn't the first album. The first album is actually the Youngsters, the Aftermath. because at the time they had KG, who was one of the dopest producers. They had the Beat Nuts, they had Marley, they had Primo, and Pete Rock, which is kind of like an all-star producer lineup for that time. Because Cruise Pop is still one of my favorite songs to this day. Like, that song is just crazy. But after Nas did it, Illmatic blew up. That kind of what made everybody say, oh, okay, so it's almost like segregation. Prior to segregation, black folk, we were so tight because we knew we had to live in the same area. We knew where we could shop. We all went to the same movie theaters. But once they said, no, black folk, y'all can live amongst everybody, it was just like we was out. And we ain't never been tight since. You know, and it's almost like the same with hip hop. It's like, oh, we could use whoever we want to use, and it ain't never been the same since because everybody's sound the same because we all doing this shit for different people. You know, so to some extent, I understand it. The producer and me, this is where me and JR and everybody was going back and forth from the show because I'm like, is it your sound? It's my sound. These my beats. So is it really? You're like, you gave away the little brother sound, and Knife could be like, nigga, these are my beats. That's my sound. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like the comedian said, like, me and Rel do a crime and Rel get caught. It's like, all right, Kill, come on. They got us. Like, no, nigga, they got you. They didn't get us. It's like, fuck you. Talking about they got us. No, they got you. I'm going home, nigga. So amazing show. Very good show. Love the different thoughts on it and everything like that. And again, me being the producer, because I always feel like it's the singer who's saying, or the rapper saying the producer did them dirty. And I'm like, well, do y'all niggas ever do us dirty? Like, y'all ever decide y'all don't want to use us on the next album? And you don't see us talking about it or whatever like that. So, you know. Because, I mean, think about it. Nas Illmatic, is Large Professor on that? Nope. Is Pete Rock on that? Nope. Is Q-Tip on that? Has Nas and Q-Tip ever even collabed again since Illmatic in 1994?
Nope.
But I don't see Tip up in interviews bitching like, nigga, Nas don't call a nigga no more. You just move on. You know, but I feel like when the singers or the rappers, when the producer does it, then it's every interview. Oh, Rich gave away my sound. Rich gave away my sound. Rich gave away my sound. Okay. You know what I mean? Was it your sound? I don't know. You know what I mean? But again, producers shit happen to us all the time. Y'all just said Brian Alexander Miller, he ain't get on the next SWV album.
He was on it, but he didn't.
He was on it, but he didn't do it like he did on the first album.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't hear Dallas Austin bitching about he wasn't on the second Boyz II Men album. And maybe he has. I don't know. But I just didn't hear the complaints. But when it happens to a singer, it's like, that's their road to glory. Like, oh, I'm going to talk about this producer till the day I die. You know what I mean? So, again, it's the producer in me. What happened?
Dallas 8 Boyz II Men up. He said them niggas.
I've seen him eating them up lately.
And he said they eating them up.
Yeah, I've seen him eating them up lately. Like when he was like, yo, these niggas came back and they was all, you know, trying to act like they rich or whatever. Like,
right. He was like, man, they came back on with some big head on their shoulders. He was like, fuck them niggas. I'm giving them one song and I'm out.
Right.
like I'm giving them thank you and I'm gone. Like, y'all,
right.
Jimmy, y'all can have them. Babyface, y'all can have them. Tim and Bob, y'all can have them because I'm done. I'm done with these niggas.
Right. But I'm sorry, bro. What's your question? Your R&B question.
My R&B question is for the both of you. Can you name one artist who could naturally sing? Like when I mean, you know, like the art of singing, they are exceptional, but their career did not reflect that.
Do you got time? Do you got a pen?
Right. You got one?
I had some good questions.
Yeah.
Hey, Raul, come on. But again, this is what the show is about.
I can tell you,
I love
the best thing is you ever heard, you ain't never heard.
Yeah.
I mean, average listener.
Right.
Who you know ain't even the best.
So
now with that question,
if you had to pick one and you know the story of why, like maybe the label, maybe timing, maybe
I know who I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna just say this. When Whitney came out, she ruined a lot of careers, and it's not her fault. But she ruined a lot of girls that was able to sing, and they were not able to succeed because of her. and the team behind her. So we're talking about the Regina Bells. We're talking about the Phyllis Hyman. We're talking about the Stephanie Mills that got blocked. We're talking about all of these females that was out that got blocked because of Whitney, because of her. Once she came out, all the other girls got seated. And it's just the truth. It sucks, but it was just the truth.
Yeah. And it wasn't because of lack of talent. It was because they did not have a push.
They didn't have a push.
They didn't have nobody. They didn't have nobody big in their corner who was just, i.e., Phyllis Hyman. Like, you know, just a few weeks before Whitney showed up, you was all up her ass. And then all of a sudden,
speak it.
And then you don't give her nothing, and you wonder why she talk her shit because she got fucked over time again.
Mm-hmm. And then Mickey Howard always talks about it. She would be like, yo.
Always.
She was like, yo, like, come on, just put the money behind me. Vesta Williams.
Because you know that Love on the New Man's, that album, those were 75% of it was songs that Whitney passed that didn't make Whitney's album.
Yes.
So they was getting the same songs thrown at them.
Like Come Share My Love. That was given to Whitney first. And Clive said it sounded too black. Nope. And he gave it to and you know, what's her name? Mickey got it. A lot of them joints were sent to Whitney first, and it was just too black. So a lot of them joints. So yeah, I would start with that. I would say when Whitney came out, it kind of ruined it for a lot of female singers, and that's why it was kind of like you had to do something different. That's why Mary ended up winning how she was, because it was completely different from what Whitney was doing at that time. It was like, finally we got something new, because we see Tommy was doing nothing but trying to make Mariah another Whitney, basically.
And when would you say is Whitney's window? Not to say Whitney ever fell off, but I mean, Whitney's pinnacle is what, 85, 86?
I'd say 86 to like 90. I'd say 89. Because we're still fucking
with the Bodyguard soundtrack. That's 92.
Yeah, I would say 86 to like 89, and then I would say from 92 to like 94. That was Whitney's window, because that I'm Your Baby Tonight shit, even though I love it, but Clive wasn't feeling it, and everybody black wasn't feeling it because they thought Whitney was copying. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh nah, here she come with this New Jack Swing trying to jump on the train. So everybody was kind of dismissing her. So it was like, okay, and then Mariah comes in, and then that happens. Then Mary comes in, and everybody's like, oh, we like that. It's new. It's different. She don't sing as great as Whitney, but it's something different. It's something fresh. And then they tried to do that to the girls. Then those girls that were still trying to, you know, maintain with Whitney, now they giving them Mary sound. Like Cheryl Pepsi Riley. She talks about that all the time. She was like, yo,
Thanks for My Child was my shit.
Beautiful record, right? Amazing record.
Especially the remix with Bow-Legged Lou up in there talking they shit.
Well, I would say, actually, I don't dislike that song. My mom, when that song came out, she don't like.
I think most black mothers hated that song because it was like, I don't need y'all singing no goddamn thing. My teenage daughter singing no thanks for my child. Like, I don't know any black mother who had a daughter.
Didn't like it.
But that's the key. Who had a daughter who liked them singing thanks for my child. Like, nah, nigga, let's cut that off.
What's funny is my mama, she don't like mama songs, like that kind of sentiment. So she don't like no song for mama. She don't like Regina Bell, If I Could. She don't like that at all. She really don't like Things for My Child. Like it's not even dislike. Like, she actively is disgusted with that song. I don't know why. That's not my ministry. But I don't have no child, and right.
So they did that with Cheryl, and then they tried to give her the Mary sound. She's like, wait a minute, but I came out before her. But this is the time what we were saying. The labels was like, we want more of that. So if you listen to Gimme, that sounds like a Mary record.
You know, the hard part is,
the only person that navigated that change of sound really good was Angela Winbush.
Yep, she sure did.
she was able to do it and it didn't sound corny, but she knew how to put it together to not make it because she's a producer.
Right.
Baby
And
Don't Cry. In that video for Baby Don't Cry.
That Treat You Right, that song, I play that song at least once a week.
Chucky ate that, yo. Production wise, Chucky ate that.
You're right, but Angela Wimbush is hard. I done heard it mixed into so many 80s, 90s hip hop mixes. Yeah. That song.
I fucked up. I'm sorry. That's not Baby Don't Cry is not Angela Wimbush.
Yeah,
she produced it for It is?
Baby Don't Cry.
And then she's in the video, the niggas got the locks and they dancing. Now I'm thinking, let me look up what I'm thinking about. I'm bugging. But do you have a singer, Pharrell, Elise?
No, y'all done said all my things.
Okay.
No, you talking about Rel with questions.
Oh. I'm gonna go a little more current. All the women up under in the atmosphere of the foreign exchange.
Oh, yeah.
Like Vern's favorite, Musina, and then Sly Smith, which is my favorite. Hey, Sly.
Carmen is my favorite.
Yeah, Carmen Rogers, Yazara, Carlita Duran, like
Tamisha.
Those are singer. Tamisha, wait, that's my homegirl. What up?
Yeah,
it's you. But like are amazing singers, and each one of those singers are a different type of singer, but they are the same level of amazing. Mm-hmm. But it's just not the time where that's the popular thing.
I feel you on that. JR, I messed up. It is Layla Hathaway. This joint right here. That Baby Don't Cry.
Layla? Oh, you talking about Layla?
But Angela produced that. That's what it was. Angela Wimbush produced the song.
I'm thinking of
so that's what messed me up, because Angela Wimbush produced that joint. So that's what I got messed up on.
They talking about my Flake Cousin Layla? That's my Flake Cousin.
And when you talk about, what is that song? Where is it?
But Layla is an example, yes. High key. High key.
And you talk about Yazra, this joint right here, the ballad of Saint Purple. Yo.
What?
Last to Leave. Last to Leave. Last to Leave. That's all I can say with that album. Last to Leave can stay on repeat for eternity.
My college put out such amazing artists.
Oh, Yazra went there?
And did the same time that me, Fontaine, everybody was there. We was all there at the same time.
Dope. Yeah, like Last to Leave is my shit. The last thing I got is the Rock Marcy sound. No drums. The sound that I actually am, boycotting every day until the end of time. And again, let me make sure everybody hears me well on this. I'm not blaming Rock Marciano for this. Number one, like I said earlier, he wasn't the first to do this. Okay, RZA was looping up stuff with no drums before. Premier, Soliloquy to Chaos off Daily Operation. There's no drums. That's something that everybody always did in hip hop, but it was done sporadically. Alchemist came out with this joint, Russian Roulette. I want to say this was 2013. This is just all loops off of just Russian records that he found. But Rock really took that drumless sound and made it his own. I compare it to Steph Curry. When people say, oh, Steph Curry ruined basketball. Steph Curry didn't ruin basketball. Steph Curry came in playing basketball the way he played it. Coaches allowing other people to shoot those Steph Curry shots who can't make those shots is what ruined basketball. So we got to stop saying somebody ruined something because they brought something new to the game. Coaches can say, take that shot one more time and you're going to sit down over here. Because there's only a couple of people, them Dame Lillards and the Trae Youngs, who can really hit those shots, but you got centers running down court, 7-footers trying to take 3-pointers on the break. So again, I'm not saying this is Rock's fault, but from that, everybody's just been doing it. Rejects 2, Conway's first album. I'm listening to this like, yo, this sounds really Rock Marcious right now, and then 3 songs into the album on Rex Ryan, you hear Rock Marcy on the song, so I said, oh, okay, they must be down with each other. But when people talk about, oh, that's the Derringer sound. No, it's not the Derringer sound. Not at all. It's not the Derringer sound. It's the Rock sound, and it really goes back even deeper than that. But now, y'all know me. You can't even find it. I have MCs asking me to take the drums out of tracks. I literally had one MC once tell me, take the drums out the track. I forgot what he said. It wasn't that they confuse him, but it doesn't give him enough time to let the beat breathe. And I'm just like, nigga, I don't even know what you talking about, bro. We good. I don't even need the money. We don't need to work together.
How you in the same sentence say take the drums out, but let the beat breathe? That makes sense.
I mean, but then
opposed things. What are you talking
right,
about?
and again, here's the funny thing. I always tell people, MCs don't even know what they want. Everybody can sit here and we blamed record labels for years. Okay, I've sat and watched so much VH1 and BET and Video Soul and Rap City where people blame the record labels. They made me do this. Now all these artists are independent and they still doing the same shit, biting other people's shit. Right. You know what I'm saying? So the very thing that you would blame record label, oh, they making me do what he doing. Now you your own person and you doing everything that person is doing. Because way back when Bandcamp first started, say me and Rel was working on an album. I'd say, look, let's do an EP. We're going to give it away for free just so people can hear about you. But if we just giving it away for free, nigga, I ain't programming no drums. I'm just looping up some stuff. We're going to just loop up 5 songs, you rap over it. And MCs was pissed. Yo, Kill, stop being lazy, nigga. Don't nobody want to just rhyme over no loop. Da-da-da-da-da. Fast forward 10 years, niggas is telling me take the drums out. Niggas don't know what they want. They just doing whatever is hot at the time. You know what I'm saying?
You know what happened to them?
What's that?
They are conditioned. Even their conditioning is conditioned.
Right. Because at the end of the day, y'all was screaming at me, calling me lazy for not using drums. Now I got MCs asking me to take the drums out. And it's like, nah, nigga, I ain't taking my drums out. You know what I mean? Not gonna happen. Not for what you about to pay me for this beat. Now, maybe if Jay said take the drums out, hey, they about to go to college. Baby girl gotta go to college. How with $50K a year? Okay, Jay, you want the drums out? No problem, my nigga. But for a random couple of $100 here and there, nah, nigga, I ain't taking the drums out. Nigga, I'm good. You know, but that's where we're at. So again, you know, rock really is, you know, when the average person talks about drumless hip hop, you think about Griselda and D'Angelo, but it was really rock bars. So that's that. Anything left, JR? Anybody else got anything else left?
All mine is done.
All right. Let me take this time to talk about these two people right here, the R&B reps. I think what you guys are doing is exemplary. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. I think what you guys are doing is helping a whole generation of people who don't understand what soul music and what R&B music really is, get a better understanding of it. And let me just sit back and say, as the old head of the group, I just love seeing it. I love seeing you guys out here in these streets, not only doing what you love, but also educating people at the same time. That's a hard thing to do. It's very hard to educate and entertain at the same time. And I think that's what you guys do through everything. Elise, your 60 seconds of vinyl is so dope. Let me explain something to you. I grew up in an era where, like Master Ace said, there's no biting allowed. When I saw you do that for the first time, I was like, I'm biting that shit. I'm taking that. And of course I can, because it just goes against my spirit, won't let me. But just to let you know, that's how dope of a concept that is. That someone like me who was like allergic to biting was like, should I bite that shit? Like, I gotta ask first, but I couldn't. I can't, because that's your shit. I love it. So I just want to give you guys your flowers. I told them before we started, like, I'm just like, you know, Big Red. I just want to sign them. I just want you to be part of Big Red Records. Like, how do we make this happen? You know,
I just got a small little company.
Yeah, I got a small little company, but we gonna make this happen. But really, just all bullshit aside, what you guys are doing is just amazing, and I truly love seeing it. What you guys are doing. So, you know, just wanted to give y'all some love. We need more collabos like this. Like, we need more Apartment 5B, R&B rep. You see me and Rel just asking questions all day. Like, hey, I said this, but is that true? Like, it's a great
come on the show.
but the thing about it is
actually my favorite thing about
yes.
Rel, you've been on 3 times?
3.
Okay. One of the things I love about Rel being on the show, and the two people that do this is Rel and Neltron, is they come on and they done brought the song and they ask a question about the background of it or something about the era, which is whatever. And that's like my favorite part of having them two brothers on the show.
Yes.
Is them asking the questions. And hey, we stay ready. We ain't got to get ready. So he hit us with it. We be like, boom.
Right.
And that's why he bring it, because he know he gonna get an answer.
Right.
And I mean, I think that's the thing that I love about you too. And when people come to me and ask me R&B questions, nigga, I don't know. And then I tag you two in, because it's like, this is who you need to go to get the answers that you need. And again, there's not enough education of the music that's happening. And this is why I don't feel good leaving hip hop in the hands of some of the young boys, you know, and that's not being disrespectful to them. It's just, I don't feel like you've learned enough. You haven't come up under someone. Like, we all need mentors. We all need somebody to come up under. And that's what makes you feel comfortable saying, okay, I'm leaving hip hop in good hands, or I'm leaving R&B in good hands, or, you know, we're leaving this in good hands. And I think what you guys are doing are planting seeds that are being watered in the harvest of the next generation of people who love and care and take care of R&B and soul music are coming. And that's based off of you two. So just wanted to give you guys your props. For people watching, I'm telling you, this is who you need to be tuned into. If you're tuned into Apartment 5B, you need to be tuned into the R&B reps. Just as important for that person out there saying, yo, I only fuck with R&B, I only fuck with hip hop. You do fuck with R&B because hip hop samples a whole rack of soul and R&B music. So again, you can't say you don't fuck with R&B, but you fuck with hip hop. It's an oxymoron. So trust me, these are the two people who you need to get into your daily timeline to see what they're talking about and everything like that. So what do y'all have coming up? I know there are amazing things happening for y'all in 2024. Tell the people a little bit about what y'all got.
I'm just enjoying what you know, the things that me and Elise always talk about and what we trying to do to build R&B reps. And like you said, that 60 seconds with Naturally Elise vinyl thing is just brilliant when she came up with that. You know what I mean? Because that's what Elise was doing before we started R&B reps. She used to pick vinyls and talk about them, but now she's doing them in a minute. Before, Elise would have like maybe a 10 or 15 minute video. Now she's knocking it out in a minute, and you like, damn, I learned about the whole damn album in a minute. You know what I'm saying? She giving you charts, she giving you this, she's giving you produce, who's a part of it, all of that in 1 minute. Because motherfuckers they ready to dip quick. So come on, she's saying a minute, yo. If you ain't got a minute, something wrong, like for real. So I thought that was completely like brilliant when she thought about it for real. So I love that, and I love that we're getting a lot of subscribers that's coming in. So then they're going to watch to catch that, like, oh, they did a video on Layla. Oh, they did a video on this. Oh, they did a video on that, and it's bringing people in, and I think that's just great. I think it's great.
I see you just did Player.
Yeah.
Shit. I gotta watch that one.
Yes. She
fucked me up.
She fucked me up. And mind you, I'm like, yeah, I know what she was doing, but she didn't do the album I thought she was doing. So when I watched it, I was like, the fuck? I was like, yo, fuck me up. And I was sitting there like, but again, nobody
hit me.
So it was dope. So it was so dope. So her doing that, and that's her thing. And then me doing JR's Motown Life, with everybody know that I love Motown. So for me doing a 5-minute video, keeping you in for 5 minutes, no longer, short, done. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about a song and all that. And it's just great. It's just this R&B rep. I never in a million years would have thought this. And to have her as my partner, man, is just the best, man. To have somebody to kind of calm me down a little bit, because y'all know I be out of control sometimes. So I need somebody to kind of level me a little bit. But yeah, and to see where it's gone, and people that really support us, and you know, like Rasan Patterson today, he saw our video of us just singing, and he was like, I love you guys. Like Rasan Patterson, like this is crazy. We know Brian Alexander Morgan, Jimmy Jam, all of this. I never in a million years thought the love of R&B that I have would go this far. So I love what we're doing with R&B Rats, man. It's everything, yo. So just
you forget that intro documentary you went to.
Oh shit. Thank you. I forgot. So the intro doc that I did, which I did like 3 years ago, I did this I called the intro the Unsung Heroes of Hip Hop Soul, and Jeff and Buddy ended up seeing it, And then they called me, and the director called me, and they said they were doing this intro doc, and they really wanted me to be a part of it. So I came there, and me, my mom, my brother, and my stepfather, we were all there, and just to sit there and talk with them, it was just dope. Like, it was just so dope. Like, I was just like, wow, you know what I mean? And then to meet some people from the Untouchables and all that, and then for all of them to put that together, because I think Intro deserves it, because everybody loved that debut. Everybody loves that intro debut. So for them to do a documentary and see my video and have me a part of it, it's out now. It's amazing. You learn about their story. You learn how they're really instrumental in music for real, and how like their impact should not be denied. So to be a part of that, and just to see JR's World of Soul in it at the end of the credits, nuts to me. Never thought. So yeah, check it out. It's on Vivo. The Life and Times of Intro, and you can catch that. And it's like a 2-hour joint. It's dope. It's really, really good. So y'all check it out.
At the end, it says blogger JR's.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's what's up.
You know I watched it 20 times.
Yeah, I know.
I'm super proud of y'all and everything y'all accomplishing. Elise, where can they get at you?
I mean, R&B Raps. I mean, you can follow about Weird Ass Life or naturalelise.com. I mean, naturalelise on Instagram and Twitter, but it's mostly R&B rap stuff. Yeah. But if you're needing a graphic designer or a social media manager and a variety of other services, just hit me up at naturalelise@gmail.com.
There you go. Sound like you're about to start doing voiceovers in a second too. So you got that too.
I've been a performer.
Okay.
Way before this stuff.
All right. Rel, where can they get at you, man?
Uptown Rel 215 on the gram, JBen215 on Twitter. You can go to my Bandcamp, Jarrell215.bandcamp.com. My album, Caught in a Moment, is on there. Give it a listen. And it's on all your streaming platforms as well. Type in Jarrell LKP. And you'll find that LKP stands for Limekiln Pike, by the way, and that's where I was born and raised and where killed. Yes, were you on Limekiln Pike too, right? Are you on the Pike?
I came up from 84, so from the time I was 10, I moved uptown when I was 10 from West Oak Lane.
Yeah. So so that's what the LKP stands for. So yeah, and I'm working on something new, so you want to look out for that.
Yeah, me and JR working on that. We already got studio set up for this month.
Right.
Dead ass, we'll walk away with the whole project.
Yeah.
From one day. Just to sit for one day.
It's been done before.
Yeah, JR's been in the lab when it's time to make music. We hunker down and do what we do. Y'all know who it is. Yes, ma'am.
When are you and JR doing another your thing?
Oh yeah.
We got, you know what? We'll shoot.
You always be all up in my shit.
You right. You 100% right. You 100% right. We gotta get another ep of Milk Crates out there. We'll shoot it when you're down here. We'll get the album done.
Because everybody, you like what I did. I stand that.
Oh, thank you. Shouts out to my
With Josh, I was like, oh my God, this is everything.
Thank you.
So good. I love it. And I don't talk about everything.
That's a shout out to my OG and kid called Roots. He started Milk Crates up at 889. He played the original sample. Then the artist that used this, and this was back in '93. So this was before everybody was doing it and everything like that. So to keep that alive, we pick an album. JR tells you all about the history of the album. I talk about the history of the producer who used the album. So you're getting knowledge on both fronts. One thing that I can always say, I've always been an avid reader, and I hated when I would read a magazine article or read a book and not walk away learning anything. So I always wanted to make Apartment 5B or anything that my name is associated to, that if you listen, you will walk away learning something. I don't think there's ever been an episode of 5B that I haven't walked away learning something I didn't know. That episode of Milk Crates about Minnie Riperton blew my mind. I didn't know any of this shit. Like, none of what JR explained. So again, and it's the same with the R&B reps. It's why I love them. It's why we're kindred spirits. You're not going to watch anything that they do and feel like, oh, I didn't learn anything. You know, it's not gonna happen. It's virtually impossible. You know, so everybody start learning. Y'all know me. I'm an avid collector of everything. My new thing I've been collecting is hip hop statues. Bro, you're gonna fuck with this one. Bro, you are going to love this one.
I know you don't. Yes, you do.
You got the Nas statue.
Wow.
That's
Him on Queensbridge. You look over to the side, the detail.
Wow.
You got from the back, you got the whole bridge.
That is
over here.
Yeah, as you turn it around, you should have had the instrumental New York State of Mind going.
Right, you know what I mean? Like something smooth with it. You got the whole QB chain right here. And the crazy thing is, you can, I gotta take the chain off. They've got 6 different heads that you can put on. So you got the I Am John.
Oh wow.
Damn.
This is very intricate. I'm into this. This is.
You got the Illmatic.
Shut the fuck. The attention to detail.
You've got Nostradamus with the hood.
Hey yo.
I be cracking JR up on the low.
Nas with the bandana. Then you got the Illmatic Nas with the chip tooth in the front. And then you got the It Was Written joint right there. Wow. So these joints is Concrete Jungle on Twitter. I mean on IG and Twitter. I think it's like Scarcio.
Yeah.
But these joints are crazy. You got to get them when they drop, because when they're like 500 when they drop, but like the second they drop, they sell out. Some of these, if you go on Twitter right now, I mean on eBay right now, these joints, some of them are going for 3,000. Now, of course, y'all know I ain't paying no goddamn 3,000.
Well,
and then on the bottom,
you got Nas and who?
Then on the bottom, you got the signatures. You got the Nas signing it.
Which other one you got?
Yeah, I got Big.
Oh,
you saw that one right last week, JR?
Yeah, I did.
That's like 15 pounds. I ain't lifting that shit up right. That's to get shit ready for it. But yeah, I've got it. Every week I'm showing a new statue I got, because I got some dope joints, some stuff, and y'all will see when y'all come through the studio. But I got some good shit for y'all.
Half man, half amazing. No doubt.
Yeah, man, we gotta keep it going. JR, did you tell them where they can get at you, man?
The R&B Raps, like Elise said, Instagram and Twitter, JR Gorilla Soul on Instagram and Twitter. You're gonna see a lot of R&B rap stuff. So yeah, just really check us out at R&B Raps, man. We trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We at almost 900, so come on, y'all. Y'all come on, subscribe. Y'all can learn some things, laugh, bug out with our crazy foolishness, but you gonna learn some stuff. So yeah, so join R&B Raps family, our cousins, and all that good stuff.
All right, y'all. I will definitely check y'all next week, y'all. Good looking out, man.
They come